Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Lionel Richie receives the Library of Congress's Gershwin Prize for Popular Song tonight at DAR Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. I caught up with Richie for a split second on the red carpet when he received his Kennedy Center honor in 2017.
When I say that we could play all the Commodore songs alone as just one group, and then we go to the solo stuff. It's about 4 hours worth of hits.
More recently, I spoke with Librarian of Congress Carla Hayden about why Richie was chosen for the Gershwin Prize tonight, as well as shattering her own double glass ceiling by becoming the first Black Librarian of Congress and the first female Librarian of Congress.
Carla Hayden, the Librarian of Congress.
At the Library of Congress here in Washington, D.C. And this is a big special occasion because you on Wednesday night are going to be handing out the annual Gershwin Prize for Popular Song. And this year, tell us who, a very special honoree, tell us who is getting the award this year.
Well, I'm actually getting goosebumps because it's one of my favorites, but everyone's favorite, the superstar Lionel Richie.
Absolutely. And take us every year. There's a great artist honored. Well, actually, really quick. We didn't have one last year because of the pandemic. I guess last year was the first year that you had to sort of skip a year. The last year, the one previous was Garth Brooks, and that was amazing. But
amazing. And when you think about it, right before the pandemic, literally a week before, we had Garth Brooks, and he just was magnificent and brought everyone together. We had bipartisan karaoke, someone said. It was something. And then to have the first Gershwin in person after the pandemic, to have Lionel Richie, who is just as magnificent and can bring people together with music. There'll be more bipartisan karaoke.
I love it. Well, take me into just the selection process of Lionel Richie. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. He's got a Kennedy Center honor. He's done it all. Actually, I think he's nominated for the Rock Hall this year. We're waiting to see if he gets in. I'm
for sure he will, because other honorees and recipients, we have a board of scholars and producers and performers, other award winners, music specialists, songwriters. And the other awardees have been Paul Simon, Stevie Wonder, Sir Paul McCartney, Carole King, Emilio and Gloria Estefan, Smokey Robinson. That was my first Gershwin being Librarian of Congress, Willie Nelson. So when you think about all of these people also giving input into who they think should win the highest honor for achievement in popular music, you have an all-star selection process and group, and then you end up with an all-star like Lionel Richie.
Wow, I didn't realize. Are you saying that the past recipients all get a say in who the next winner is?
They get a say. And think about it. These are all superstars, but they respect each other's achievement in popular music. We had Tony Bennett, and he was the first awardee to be an interpreter of popular music. And you have songwriting, but then it's important to have people honored who interpret these wonderful songs too.
Wow, talk about an all-star lineup of what do you say? Almost like a judges panel deciding who's going
right.
to.
Think about what Mr. Richie is doing now as a judge on American Idol. He's mentoring other young artists. So with all of his fame and achievement, he's still helping others.
Wow. And talk about why he's so deserving. Like we could rattle off a bunch of songs, but I guess let's start. But before any of his solo stuff, talk about his time in the legendary Commodores.
And I was young then. I remember when some of those songs came out. Of course, Brick House, but also he was doing things at the same time in country and other things like Three Times a Lady and Easy. At the same time, he was working and doing with the Commodores. And then when he went solo, my goodness, Endless Love, All Night Long, Hello, Say You, Say Me, Dancing on the Ceiling. Then he co-wrote We Are the World. And we know on good authority that there's going to be a special performance by him at the
Oh wow, that's gonna be great. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's go into it because we should tell our listeners if you've never been to this at DAR Constitution Hall or if you've never seen it on television, it is an all-star concert. Are we allowed to reveal who else is going to be there to pay tribute?
Yes, because the concert will be broadcast on PBS, and we know the time and the date. It's going to be broadcast widely Tuesday, May the 17th, 9 p.m. And you can check the local listings. It's even going to be on their video app and on their website. And then this is something that's pretty special. It's going to go to all of the U.S. Department of Defense locations around the world. We have an arrangement with the American Forces Network. And when you think about the people who are serving us, to be able to bring some joy to them, we're really excited because they're going to be performances by previous prize honoree Gloria Stefan, Boys to Men, all of them.
Woo!
Luke Bryan, Chris Stapleton, Audra Day, Miguel, Yolanda Adams, and that special performance by Mr. Richie himself.
Wow, that is a lineup and a half. That's a concert right there.
That's a concert. And you think of the songs, and you have to think who's going to sing Easy, who's going to sing Say You, Say Me, Endless Love. So that'll be fun.
Are we allowed to reveal which artist is doing which song, or is that you have to tune in to find out?
Well, you have to tune in, but we don't know yet too. So there'll be that nice element of surprise in one way for the audience.
Wow.
So you won't have a program that's going to say, here's Chris Stapleton and he's going to do
Right.
Say You, Say Me or something. So that's going to make it just bring an extra piece of excitement to the people in the concert hall.
Wow. Well, that's part of the fun of it is imagining the possibilities, imagining, Boys to Men singing Easy Like Sunday Morning, or we don't know we don't know what it's going to be. Yeah. But
yeah. And then when they break out and I have to say, can you imagine when they start with the song, how everybody's going to just, and then start singing along.
Oh, that whole place is gonna, because everyone knows. I mean, all night long, all night, everybody's gonna sing. Everybody's gonna know them all. Well, very, very cool. And then, of course, in addition to all the guest performers, every year it ends with the actual honoree himself coming or herself getting on stage and performing. So Lionel Richie will get on and do what, like a medley of some of his biggest ones?
Well, and I do know that ones that he will probably go into. One is going to be, and he wanted to do it, especially at this time. And, and we know that it'll be just as relevant during the broadcast. We Are the World. And he specifically wanted to be the one to perform that. And he'll probably bring on and invite some of the other performers to help him with that. And then we all said, please, sir, you've got to do All Night Long as a wrap up. Can you see that? And imagine where that's going to go.
Those are like, those are like the two perfect closers because, We Are the World is, was recorded as that great, USA for Africa and an ensemble piece. So that's perfect to bring all the other people back up on stage. And then to close out with All Night Long, that'll get everyone on their feet and dancing all night long.
And in a good mood, because we've had a tough couple of years and we're going through something collectively right now, and just to have music bring us together. And that's the whole point of popular song and popular music. It crosses boundaries. It crosses so many areas, and to have so many people that'll be singing the same song and being together, we need it.
Wow, you're not kidding. I just got goosebumps thinking about these artists singing "We Are the World" at a time. I mean, we're on the brink of possible World War III, and freaking Russia invading Ukraine, and to hear these artists banding together and singing a song of peace that Richie co-wrote. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's gonna be the man on Wednesday night. That's for sure. Well, real quick, we mentioned, war and conflict, we've also been through this pandemic that remind us right before you sort of alluded to it, but yeah, like the last time we held this event at DAR was right, I think it might have been like a week before March 20th, when everything shut down. I specifically I got to tell you, my wife and I were huge Garth Brooks fans. We were dancing in the audience. In fact, little known fact, I was the one that pulled out my phone first for the river and got the whole
Oh,
thing.
you did that? Thank you so much.
That got the whole audience doing it. But Garth
wonderful.
rocked it with Keith Urban, Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes. I mean, it was just one after another. It was amazing. But
and do you remember, Jason, that he also did a riff on it was a cappella with just him, and his guitar, about his musical influences, and he broke into Brick House.
Oh, I forgot about
Mr.
that.
Right, and Mr. Richie knew that, so you might have some little guest vignettes coming in too.
You're right. That was what, Garth put on the show, because you're right. In between his songs, he did his medleys, and saluting, Don McLean and James Taylor and Bob Seger. Yeah, he went through music history. That was great too. And little did we know, we were all there shaking hands on the red carpet, and Garth saying, "You're very sweet, thank you." And little did we know that we probably shouldn't have been shaking hands, but none of us knew at that time about the pandemic. But wow,
1 week ahead.
the world changed for sure on a dime. Well, very, very cool. Anything else we should talk about the show? I mean, it's going to air. What day did you say it's going to air?
May the 17th at 9 p.m., but just check the local PBS listings. And it will be on their video app and on their website, pbs.org. So just check, and you'll be hearing more about that. And we hope that everyone will enjoy it, because they're like two bookends to the pandemic: Garth Brooks and Lionel Richie.
You can't beat that. Well, cool. Well, before we run, I guess remind us why it's named after both Ira and George Gershwin.
George and Ira Gershwin, the songwriting duo brothers, and they were the Lionel Richie, songwriting, popular music at the time. And the Library of Congress has their archive. So all of their original manuscripts, and even George Gershwin's piano and all of the things. So we thought, what better pair of songwriters to exemplify. And a lot of the awardees refer back to the Gershwin songs, and Smokey Robinson even sang one to his wife during his concert. So that's why we said it's an honor to, and the songwriters especially feel it as an honor.
Wow.
And
it definitely is, and it's a fitting name. And I assume you have a lot of the honorees, including Lionel Richie. I assume you have a lot of their stuff in the Library of Congress already, like a lot of the song registry and all that stuff.
Oh, right, and their copyright. We were able to show Smokey Robinson his first copyright deposit in his own hand, and to hear him and Berry Gordy kind of go back and forth, because it was a joint song, and they were saying, "No, that's my handwriting," was something. We have that on our website, loc.gov. And you can also look and see some of the performances of the other Gershwin Award winners. So we have a special part about the Gershwin Award on our website.
Awesome. Everyone definitely head over to the Library of Congress website to check that stuff out. And before we run, I want to remind our listeners, because you and I spoke, I guess, like a year ago, I guess, about your history making place, your role at the Library of Congress. And it's kind of fitting, because we just wrapped Black History Month and just kicked off Women's History Month. And you have you broke ground on both of those fronts. Tell our listeners how you are a historic appointment in this role.
February 28th, and then I switch over to March the 1st, Women's History Month, because I'm the first person of color to be Librarian of Congress since 1802, and I'm also the first woman. And so when you think about that, as a woman, it's significant, because librarianship is a female-dominated profession, where about 85 to 90% of the people who work in libraries are female, but the top management doesn't always reflect that. And then as a person of color, personally, that was always something that I thought about in terms of this position. People that looked like me were forbidden by law to learn how to read. So now to be the person who's the Librarian of Congress means quite a bit.
Forbidden by law to learn how to read. Can you imagine how ridiculous that freaking sounds nowadays? But you have done it. You have done it.
Think about it, Jason, that reading can be dangerous. You might
Right?
get some ideas.
Oh yeah, we might be able to read the actual history of this country for a change. What do you know about that? Well, thanks for playing a part in, in bringing that history to life and making history yourself on both of those fronts. In case our listeners, in case some people listening to this combo missed our last one, remind us where you grew up down in historically Black campus, Florida A&M, right?
Tallahassee, Florida. My dad was teaching music, started the string department, and then that's why this Gershwin and being involved with music is so resonates personally too, because you can hear him playing violin on some of that the Shy Lights songs that you probably know about. So that's my dad. So
wait, he played on the shot. He on Oh Girl. He played on that?
Yeah. When you hear the violin, like The Coldest Day of My Life and all those Shy Lights, that's my dad. So I didn't have the talent, obviously, because I'm a librarian, but I do appreciate it. So it's a special treat for me to be involved with the Gershwin Prize.
Wow. Yeah. So we're all listening to the words. We're listening to Be in Trouble If You Left Me Now. And yours listening to the violin. You're like, that's dad.
That's dad.
Oh my gosh. Well, remind us how you got involved, how you got chosen to be the Librarian of Congress then. Like, what was your fill in the gap between those early Florida days? And I know you were making a daily commute to Baltimore, D.C. for a while, but how did you actually get the role?
Well, actually, I was nominated by then President Obama to be Librarian of Congress. And I was working as the head of the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore. And it's also the State Library for Maryland. And libraries have been part of my professional career since I graduated from college and library school. When I was 12, family decided I didn't have music talent, but they knew I could read and loved books and things like that. So librarianship became the way I was able to help.
Well, we're glad you're in that position now. And I know you secured a $15 million grant from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation for a new diversity initiative called Of the People Widening the Path. How's that going? In the years since we first talked about it, how's it going? And sort of what's the mission of that?
It's going so well because we want to have more voices and more stories. We talked about history and learning about history. So this grant is to actually go in to communities and help them tell their own stories. Also, there's a digital component. So there's so many people that all over for underrepresented groups that are doing in this country great work and making it available. So we are actually giving out grants to people to collect their histories and tell their histories. And so it's going pretty well in terms of reaching out, and we want more people to apply and be part of this. So on the website, just go to Of the People and see what opportunities, paid internships too.
Wow. And that's loc.gov. That's the website.
LOC.gov.
Is it true, really quick, that it was the largest grant from an individual foundation that the Library of Congress ever received? Is that right?
Yeah, from the Mellon Grant, headed up by Elizabeth Alexander, who's an award-winning poet, but she's really making her mark too with the Mellon Foundation and just making sure that groups that sometimes aren't in the history books or haven't been represented when we tell our history get a chance to participate.
Well, thanks for telling all of the history, the full history. That's the goal going forward. And anything else we want to, I guess, let's bring it full circle back around to the Gershwin Prize. That's part of telling this music history. Right. So why should our listeners either turn out to this event on Wednesday or I guess more people actually will get to tune in and see it on PBS. But why is this a must-watch event?
It's a must-watch because you're going to see people who are making music history, who've made it. One of the greatest songwriters and performers of our time and for all time, Lionel Richie, and you will see something special at a special time in our country's history too. So there'll be more emotion and probably more significance because of what is happening with all of us right now.
Oh, yeah. And as you look around DAR Constitution Hall, I'm not entirely sure what it's constructed of, but for one night only, it's definitely going to be a brick house.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
That's the best pun I can come up with on the fly. So
Good.
thanks so much for doing this. Again, everyone, it's loc.gov/Gershwin and tune in on PBS. Hey, thanks so much, Carla, Hayden, Librarian of Congress. History making on multiple fronts, but this week it's all about Lionel Richie. So, hey, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you. Tune in.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the D.C. area is great, and Podcast D.C. gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast D.C. is the new local app with hundreds of D.C. area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast D.C.